Sequence 2, Poronin, by Charles Putschkin. 7 grades, 6 classes per grade, 35 students per class. 1,470 papers on the illustrious life of Vladimir Lenin, the venerated Russian leader who was born wearing workmen's clothes and a flat cap, whose unwavering faith in the absolute truth of Marxism advanced the cause of the revolution, who was married to Nadezhda Krutskaya, but whose true family was the people of the Soviet Union, eternal friends of the Polish Republic, and who was a humble and kind thinker who lived, lives, and will always live. One student from every class has been selected to appear on stage in the auditorium to compete in a single elimination tournament in Lenin trivia. Dressed in her school uniform, a black shirt dress with a white collar, a white pinafore, white socks and white ankle-strap shoes, her cherubic cheeks flush with the color of her favorite food, red beet soup, which, as it happens, is not so very different from the cherished leader's own favorite dish, milk soup with dumplings. Marilla clears her throat and proclaims that the answer to the question, in what village in Poland did Vladimir Lenin spend his summer holiday in 1913? is Białystok, hastening to add, of course, that the leader had found the area around Poronin almost as beautiful as Russia. It is not only the correct answer, it is also the winning answer, the one that sees her past her rival finalist, Sylvia Fiksinski from Class 5E. Beyond having produced a veritably outstanding written examination of the leader's character, indeed the best such paper in her class, in which she describes young Volodya as a bright and studious boy who always helped others, Marilla has also correctly stated his place of birth, Simbirsk, his exact time of death, 1850 on the 21st of January 1924, his favorite hobbies, ice skating, chess and gardening, and his impression of Paris, foul. As a muted round of applause leaves the heavy hands of more than 1,000 pupils and washes over Marilla's small ears, she takes a step back from the stage microphone and curtsies. At the age of 9, she is not bothered by Mama's comment, earlier that morning, that her ears are the best feature of her face, nor does she avoid the collective gaze of her fellow students, who may or may not consider her nose too big or her blonde curls too frizzy. In this exact moment, she is proud of herself, proud to have done justice to the life and service of a wonderful hero of the working classes of the world, and to have proven that his immortal legacy continues to flourish in the hearts and minds of his Polish friends. Having observed the tournament proceedings from the front benches, the school principal, Mr. Szakowski, rises from his seat and ascends the stage via the 3-step aluminum stair unit.
Congratulations to Marilla Kowaliński,
he says into the microphone and, to Marilla's disappointment, puts his empty hand into the pocket of his brown corduroy jacket, the sure sign of a total cretin, as Tata always says.
On this formidable accomplishment, I have no doubt, and I am sure you won't prove me wrong, Marilla, that an outstanding student such as yourself knows all the words to the famous song about the time the Honorable Vladimir Lenin spent in Poronin. Indeed, no doubt, the whole school will know the poem by heart, and perhaps you, Marilla, will start us off as we sing it as a school to honor this celebration of knowledge, because it is precisely through knowledge such as that displayed by yourself here today on this very stage that this nation's children, soft and malleable like the fertile soil on the fields of our Polish farms, become good socialists, nationalists, and independent thinkers.
After school, Marilla, red backpack, and Henrik, yellow backpack, make their usual way home via Avenue Wyzwolenia. Side by side, they walk in quiet. As Marilla studies the crimson lettering on her mint green diploma and Henrik measures out his steps so that his feet never touch the lines between the paving stones. A pageant of pabidas, sirenas and fiats slowly swash and swirl down the snowy carriageway, sputtering rings of brown smoke into the bracing afternoon air. A tram car rings its bells to clear a crossing of rowdy primary schoolers in green jackets, caps and berets. Oily steam clouds of pan-fried pierogi waft out from the window of a newspaper agent. On a pink, concrete second-floor balcony, a hunchbacked man beats a sheepskin rug with a wooden tennis racket. Their friendship had, in a sense, been foisted upon them, first by their parents and, second, by sheer proximity. They lived next door to one another, but it was not out of obligation or familial duty that they remained friends and spent most of their afternoons together. In 1951, Marilla and Henrik's parents had, on account of their father's German careers in the merchant navy, been assigned to live temporarily in the same villa in the northern outskirts of Szczecin. The two men had not only been assigned to share a house, but also to serve together on their first ship.
On our very first mission, the captain had us all line up on deck so that he could spell out the ship rules.
Both Tatao and Henrik's father, Miłosz, had told them the story many times, at communal suppers, in the car during trips to the beach, and once whilst retiling a leaky roof.
But halfway through his speech, the old man stops speaking, practically mid-sentence, and walks up to one of the crew. Apparently he'd noticed that this one fella had a large anchor tattoo on his forearm, which for some reason wasn't allowed. So he holds up the fella's arm for everyone to see and says that if he ever sees the tattoo again, he'll kick the fella off the ship, even if we're at open sea. And that the same went for anyone else on the ship stupid enough to have a tattoo. Me, I didn't particularly mind or care because I didn't have a tattoo. I figured I was in the clear. Plus, I didn't want to get into trouble. That night, though, some of the old-timers, these real tough guys who'd fought in the war, these real tough guys, they got the crew together in the canteen and told everyone to pair up. What you know, minutes later, we're all breaking ink pens in half and I'm sticking a sewing needle into Miłosz's forearm. The following morning, the captain shows up on deck and sees 60 men with fresh flesh wounds and black anchors on their forearms.
Things hadn't stayed that way for very long. Miłosz dropped out of the Navy after his wife, Ada, inherited her father's grocery store, in order that they might run it together. Tata and Mama had been relocated to Gdansk, which is where Wladek was born in 1955, so that Tata might be closer to work, before they were eventually returned to Stettin in 1957 and assigned a large, fourth-floor, mouse-infested flat with high ceilings, a marble bathtub and an iron stove, all of which they were forced, on account of the spare bedroom, to share with a series of itinerant, weekend-boozing journeymen without families of their own. Marilla had faint memories of tiny mice in the bathtub and snack-filled jute baskets that Mama would attach to string and lower down from the kitchen window to the courtyard. In 1961, Tata had reached a station in his career where it had become necessary that he live in a flat with its own telephone, for which reason the Navy decided to relocate him to a smaller, more modern flat, namely the one on Mazuska, which, by some intervention or perhaps sheer luck, happened to be the flat next to Miłosz, Ada and Henrik. In the spirit of the particular kind of daredevilry that compelled 60 young men on a boat to seal their camaraderie in blood and ink, and to present their hard-ass captain with an all but metaphorical crack of wise, 3-year-old Marilla and Henrik had, in an unattended moment on what one may presume was a rainy afternoon, located a bronze-colored fountain pen made out of steel, and committed to drive it into one another's right arms. Marilla's cry at the first stab had been sufficiently loud to cause at least temporary hearing loss to anyone within the boundaries of Ada and Miłosz's flat, and it put a stop to the whole endeavor. Not, however, without leaving Marilla with a permanent scar in the shape of a 6-point star. They had, in other words, a special bond that was very much their own. Last one home, Henrik says, and slaps Marilla across the wrist with the mittens Ada had made for him, is a rotten Leninist. Marilla flinches, drops her diploma on the ground, and sees the back of Henrik as he makes a sharp right turn and bolts down General Ludmila Rayskego Street. Her already red cheeks redden. She lowers her head and sees the diploma soak in the slushy snow. She bends to pick it up, but it's good for the dogs now, wet and dirty, and she won't be putting it in a frame, even if that had never been her intention. Wladek had won the same tournament 2 years ago, had earned the same mint green diploma with his name written on it in crimson lettering, and had put it in a drawer in the armoire in the living room together with the rest of the bunch, a variety of documents testifying to his and his sister's achievements as students and citizens. A star-grade sheets, perfect test scores, first-place diplomas, and a letter from a State Department congratulating Marilla on her first-rate efforts as a door-to-door canvasser for the Ho Chi Minh fundraising campaign. A wise child will know the difference between the vapid laughter that bends a bully in half as they mock the precocious student's raised arm in history class, and the hushed cheer that departs the smugly curved lips of those who know, like Marilla and Wladek both do, that the broom-like mustache of a Polish bureaucrat is only good for sweeping the floors in Leonid Brezhnev's office. Marilla and Wladek also know that some words are only spoken in hushed voices at night, and that Mama and Tata draw the curtains and turn off the lights whenever they tune into Radio Free Europe. She folds the soggy diploma in half and puts it in the pocket of her blue overcoat. In the distance, Henrik has stopped running. He stands on the side of the pavement, facing her direction, juggling his mittens. Sequence 2, Poronin, by Charles Putschkin.